The next morning, she would get up in her group and they would go to the south rim, walk clear across the canyon. Well, anyway, this night after we got our evening meal over, and she wanted me to sing to the girls and tell them stories, and we got out on the porch and had several big lights on the big 50-foot veranda porch, and I'd put some 3/4 inch mattresses out on the porch so these young ladies could sleep on have a good night's rest, because some of them was really sore and tired coming down that canyon trail. And one of the most phenomenal things happened that night that I've ever witnessed in my life. We'd been entertaining there a little while, and all at once, little mice, little desert mice, cactus mice they're called. They're the cleanest, cutest little actors on Mother Nature's stage that you ever saw in your life. They prim, they bathe themselves, they never leave any mouse tracks, don't leave any scent. They're just beautiful little things, and there was a lot of them lived in the rocks around our house. And all at once they came on that porch. And these girls, they was scared to death of mice, you know, and they began to scream and holler, and them poor little mice run right up to them and get right in between their legs and around their bodies, and they was just screaming with fright. Doorbell was even getting a little bit timid. Well, I went over and one girl was just having a fit, and I went over and brushed the mouse off from her, and I hit it quite hard with my hand, and it went down on the floor and started kicking. I killed this poor little thing. Well, I got my head together. I knew something phenomenal was happening, and I excused myself and never said anything to Zorbel or the girls. And anyway, I beat it through the dining room, living room there, and into the kitchen. I had a big stick that I'd whittled out of a willow and had it leaning up against the wall right to the kitchen porch, because I use it sometimes to kill scorpions. And I use my brain once in a while. I do that, you know. And I opened the door and turned on the outside light. And right on my doorstep was one of the biggest rattlesnakes I've ever seen in my life. He's all curled up there. So I gingerly reached above him and got a hold of this stick. And then I let him have it. And I killed him, and one was crawling on the rocks. I killed it. And then I hid the rattlesnakes, packed them off out the other side of the building, and went back out on the porch. And you know, the moment I killed those rattlesnakes, those little mice all left. They knew that their enemy was killed and done away with, and they just simply went back to their normal life and habitats, and we weren't bothered with it anymore. But I didn't tell the girls or Doorbell that I'd killed a big snake. And the next morning, I got up and went out to the warehouse, and I had a ritual where I'd had a bunch of bricks piled up, and they'd get warm in the daytime, and then they had cracks, you know, between the bricks, and that'd fill up full of scorpions. One morning I killed 30-some-odd scorpions in these bricks. That was a ritual that I went through every morning, and I killed the scorpions by the hundreds. And so I was doing that, and I heard a rattle. And I pried 2 or 3 more bricks off and looked in, and right by them on the underside of the warehouse, right where I had the bricks piled up, was a great big old rattlesnake curled up. If he hadn't rattled, sooner or later my hand had got to where he could have bit me. But thank goodness he rattled. I raked him out and killed him. You know, we never did have any more trouble with those rattlesnakes down there. But how those little mice knew when I killed them rattlesnakes, when to leave, and how they come on the porch, not afraid of humans who they lived around, and perhaps they knew that there was more safety in the humans than they were the rattlesnakes, because the rattlesnakes was after their dinner. And that was quite a little piece of dramatization on Mother Nature's breast. Royal and Sherman Baugh and Island and I were on East Fork cutting timber. We was in the head of Robertson Canyon, and one day a hailstorm came up. And we'd holed up during this hailstorm. When it passed over, why, we went to work again. It's messy and wet. Quite a little bit of hail gathered hither and there under the trees and on the north side hills. But that's the only way we had to make a living, is to get those trees cut down. We had old two-man saws. One had to take the tail end of the saw and one the big heavy machinery, and it took 2 men to fall a tree. Then we'd grab our axes and trim all the limbs off, and then we'd saw it up in certain lengths for the sawmill. Well, we got to work again, and all at once a sheep herder with the name of Ross Heaton, Mountain, Utah. I knew him. He came up, he said, "We got a forest fire." Well, we had these expensive distant saws and our axes, and we decided that, he said, "You're the only people up here," and he said, "We better go look the fire over and see if we can do anything." And it was, maybe a mile and a half away, so we got the saws and put them where we didn't think a forest fire would hurt them too much. And we took our axes, and we went to this fire. And then a very phenomenal thing happened on this theater of time. Fire was the main actor in this one, and the elements of Mother Nature, the hailstorm and fire. It struck a tree that was parted, and right in the crotch it had set the tree on fire, big balsam pine, a fir. And when it burned in two, one part fell one way down the hillside and the other up the hillside, and we had 2 fires, both of them racing in opposite directions. And we studied the situation, and we worked at it for quite a little while, and we decided to let the one going downhill, it was at least burning, and we'd let it take care of itself if it would, and we'd fight the one that was going uphill. Oh, it was raging. We knew if it got over the horizon of the hill that it'd go into what they call a Kanab Creek. That's a big old terrible black forest. We knew we were going to have one real forest fire. Well, we fought it. We finally got a little trail around the fire, and the Island and Shea Ball and I. This was about 10 o'clock in the morning. We decided that we had to have help. We was in Royal's truck, and so we sent Royal to the truck, and he left on a high trot towards camp and got in the truck and beat it down the mountain so he could get to the ranger station and phone the Forest Service that there was this forest fire. The Island and Royal and Shea and I, we started to just making a steady walk around the perimeter. And every time the fire get to start, we'd converge on it and put it out. And we'd chop the trees and dead stuff that was on fire and put them back into the fire. We had a pretty good trail around the fire, and every once in a while, one of us or 2 of us would drop down and work on the lower fire, and finally we got it to where we didn't have to worry about it anymore. The timber had been cut, and it was kind of sparse going downhill, and the big heavy forest was uphill. Well, after Royal phoned, he come back up to us, and we hadn't had anything to eat. And that was about maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And the sheep herder We didn't have only water bags, and he kept bringing water in these water bags so we'd have something to drink. Well, our skin was getting burnt. We were smudged with black soot and smoke, and we would give out. But we decided that the only alternative we had is to keep that fire contained all night. 4 o'clock in the morning, we saw a car light down in Robinson Canyon, and we knew somebody'd helping us. The darn Park Service over at Bryce had saw the smoke and told the Forest Service that the forest fire was in Crawford Canyon, and they went up hunting us in Crawford Canyon, and they brought some kind of sea rations or army rations of some kind, and that's the first drop of food we had that night. And some men came, and I'll tell you, when we got back to our beds about 5 o'clock in the morning, we would give out. We went to bed and slept and didn't do much more work the rest of that day. We got up and cut a few trees that afternoon. These are things that I've had to witness in my life. These are phenomenal things, you know, and I just thinking of a few things of experience that I can dramatize in my own way of talking. Oh, my dear loved ones, we have all the rights of eternity. Perhaps some small measure of heat from the deep testimonial fire in my soul will light the flames of truth in thy soul. For I purified my lips of prayer as I refurbished the sacred fire burning deep in my heart before my philosophy could reach its goal, that I may release the cause of all effect and effect of all causes in my path, and awake thee from lethargy's sleep to life of eternal might. May wisdom descend like the dew from the May wisdom descend like the dew upon the bud of a thirsty rose, to glorify thy bloom to petals of intelligence as eternal as celestial colors bright. May my love kindle that eternal flame, enough to illuminate the innermost of thyself, in sensitive revelation that you are still a child of God. As the mist of night descends from the mountaintop to unveil the valleys of decision, to outline horizons above the mortal sod, with the fire of desire, so we can crystallize any purpose with the great entities of life, love, and beauty, for life without them is lost. May you have all that life begets, all that love creates, and all that beauty generates from your God-given talents before Satan destroys them like frost. May pain become a gentle breeze as you drink from the cup of sorrow, for only then will you understand the test of afflictions that brings eternal joy. May you be baptized by covenant, married by covenant, so that all can be sealed in heaven as on earth as the keys of priesthood employ. For only in the fullness of truth, which is the gospel of Jesus Christ, do we find the depth of eternity, the depth of life, love, and beauty. This I have done, for I was foreordained before this world was to defend truth with my faith in God, for I know he lives. This is my sacred duty. This is your sacred duty. When we try to measure the flow of mortal time and try to make all sequences rhyme, we find the undulation of mundane ages sweeping o'er geology and history and in sad human pages. with few gems of beauty between, angry waves, human waves, of beastly wars, where mental insanity raves, the symmetry of God and man not understood with love from the scriptures ordained from above, to the hate of satanic lies for all mortal earth that comes beguiling at its beguiling at its planet birth, prompting mankind to reconstruct the elements into clod when they were organized by God. In 7,000 building years, leaving almost 6,000 before the millennium of joy and tears. Noah's flood, the Tower of Babel, the land's division when evil men forced God's decision, to the colossal earthquake of 34 A.D. when God ordained the future of Utah to be, with the landscapes of Mount Zion called Utah, her 7 national parks without flaw, as a God's ordained Bryce, Zion, and Grand, as their spectrum to bring tourists to this land. I was born on nature's ample breast to learn that God had a mission for me to meet with my best. He gave me talents, rich experiences, and knowledge, and a testimony that I could not receive in college. He gave me the sure word of prophecy, the courage to know the truth about earth's mortal age. She was born by priesthood power, suddenly, without antique, to improve our lives superbly. The divine beauty, so imposing with nature's eloquence, was not erosion's long way, nor not was it by chance. It was to bring the world to Zion, where humble people could live and understand nature's true steeple, the footstool of God, our earth, to exalt by our love, to a throne of celestial beauty known as heaven above. Listen to the mockingbird. Listen to the mockingbird. My old whistle's not as good as it used to be. Here I am 74 years old trying to imitate a bird, and a little bit hard to do. But I like to imitate things with my voice, and it's been a lot of consolation. down where the Colorado River flows. She was a dark-eyed Indian maiden, cheeks brown from the sun-kissed air. And when it came time to give her heart, all the petals of her love were waiting there. Then life and the desert became a lavender sunset. I heard her parting as softly as the wind's crying. She left my campfire saying, please don't forget. Now sleepy embers of memories keep stirring. The rosebud of her youth had blossomed. She had bloomed into a beautiful rose, but like the wild rose, each petal had to fall. She left her desert and my heart in sad repose. She left her desert and my heart in sad repose. Another one of my little poems called Freedom. Freedom is my heritage. The tears and prayers, the blood and sweat of my people shall not be in vain. Freedom is my heritage. The curse of force, the darkness of evil o'er my people shall not have their gain. For this land above all other lands is a chosen land, ordained by God as his mortal altar of love. For this people above all other people is a chosen people, gathered to build Zion, pure as heaven above. The light of truth gave me this freedom. The wisdom of prayer gave me this freedom. The blood of my fathers gave me this freedom. The right to defend gave me this freedom. The citadel called Zion shall not falter, for God is my protector. Our priesthood and faith shall not waver, for Christ is our scepter. We are the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints forever. We are the Church of Almighty God of Latter-day Saints forever. We are America, and America is freedom. Freedom is my heritage. A prophet and 12 apostles govern our people without fault. Freedom is our heritage. True baptism and marriage covenants for our people shall eternally exalt. For our church above all other churches is the only church upon this reorganized earth. For our families above all other families have more divine scriptures to guide them from their birth. The light of truth gave me this freedom. The wisdom of prayer gave me this freedom. The blood of our fathers gave me this freedom. The right to defend gave me this freedom. The
citadel called Zion shall not falter, for God is our protector. Our priesthood and faith shall not waver, for Christ is our scepter. We are the church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints forever. We are the church of Almighty God of Latter-day Saints forever. We are America, and America is freedom, our only freedom. I love the American Indian, and so I put my talents to work because my heart aches for them. To the American Indian, oh, my benighted Nephite layman people, so nomadic through the desert archaic age, sand-blasted by mythology, crucified by sad deception, darkened where hot winds rage. O my beloved American Indian, so wrongly named, arise from the tombs of ancient ashes, declare thy origin from Adam's roots divine to profound beauty above bondage and mortal lashes. O my desert brethren, arise from the shadows of poverty, where you struggled like cacti to bloom. Clothe thy soul like the yucca with protective thorns, with virtue's tapestry clean as the rippled dune. Bury thy traditions from the human coyote, and soar as the eagle from exile to mountain's crest. Focus as the hawkeye, and identify thyself in true perspective in this the mortal quest. You are not Indian, you are 50 million strong. You have the most perfect history book on this earth. Your Book of Mormon is the only true record of your forefathers and their Anasazi birth. The blood of ancient Israel runs deep in your veins. You are a chosen people before God. Arise from the desert, throw off thy bondage, put on the armor of courage as thy rod. O my benighted Nephite layman people, arise, save America, fortify this land once more. Be our citadel, our title of liberty, our Savior on Mount Zion from shore to shore. Receive thy prophetic foreordination of eternal might. Receive the priesthood of thy Master, the Christ, who blessed thy fathers and bid them to enter into his celestial pasture. Arise, my desert brethren, and triumph o'er the past. Let thy humble faith be thy victor, as you restore thy dignity above thy accusers, to the sovereignty of thy fathers before. They call me Indian. They let me die. They hate for me to live. Me no Indian. Me no bum. Me American with a heart and a soul to give. Me the shepherd, the sheep I know. Me no bad, all time watch the sky. The wind no see, the ear no hear, the eye no see the eagle how he fly. They free, no reservation, no desert. They seek the mountain for their home. I seek the freedom for my home, the right to walk where my dead did roam. The spirit they call, my heart she plead, my hands reach out for the peace. The soul she cry, the tears they fall, they bondage with no earthly release. The flowers they bloom when the rain comes like tears from the weeping sky. The birds they sing when the sun colors the sky, so happy and I wonder why. The grass she grows, the sage she grows, the cedar sings sorrowful in the breeze, but the prayers I give she no grow, they no answer, I die on bent knees. I burn like the weathered leaves, I rot like the ghost of naked lonely trees. The same deathly shadows, they come day by day to haunt my weary soul. I die inch by inch, where the desert greed is in vapid sand takes its toll. I pray no more, God, for the soul is beyond the human strength to save. My tomb she be the sand, my friend the yucca and cactus cover my grave. Nobody knows, nobody cares, me Indian. The silence of eternity covers all. A child of God, unseen, unheard, in soft desert solitude did fall. Where the shadows of the deserts, archaic wilderness, and Anasazi ages slept, where the sunbeams wove their tapestry where few clouds have wept, where the desert coyote oats still sing as the day dies in the clasp of golden embers, where sable night awakes with its nocturnal sounds, an insect anthem soft and tender, the elf